Good morning, everyone. It's me, Megan, with the Academy of Logic and Light, and I have Elle. Oh, you're on the other side
Oh,
here, and it is our astrology and coffee today, and we are going to be talking all about the sign of Libra. So, um, before we get too far, I'm just Julie isn't able to make it today, so I will be here all day.
yay!
I'll be probably taking notes, which I do most of the time. So, but you get to watch it this time. um, so I'll talk about the Academy a little bit and then we'll get started. So, the Academy of Logic and Light is a community educational platform that provides a safe space for people to practice their spirituality without being indoctrinated. So we're so glad that you're here to join us. Right now, we have our astrology and coffee class that we're doing every day. Not every day. We couldn't handle that.
I can't show up
Too
every day.
frequently. Yeah. Every week, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, but you can always watch through our replays. We also do monthly meetups. So our next meetup is going to be July 16th. We're going to be meeting up here in Salt Lake City in Big Cottonwood Canyon at Dogwood Park. And so, not park, but picnic area. And so we will be meeting up there. We're going to have a fun little ceremony, campfire, s'mores, all the things to really embrace the energy of the Cancer new moon. And then we are also on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We have a Facebook group all under the same name, Academy of Logic and Light. And you can also find us online at academyoflogicandlight.org. We also have a Patreon. So if you like what we're doing here and you would like to support us, you can jump on our Patreon and we have great perks like a back access to our classes, as well as other magical content. We have astrology readings, energetic work, and tarot readings. If you're interested in any of that, go ahead and take a look at our Patreon. Links are all down below. And if you're interested in teaching with us, like Elle is here, we're going to have a few other classes starting. And we would love to get more teachers on board with us. If you can reach out to us online, on oh my goodness, what are they called? All the social medias, wherever we are. You can send us an email at academyoflogicandlight@gmail.com as well. So great. Well, I'm so excited. I'm going to roll a little intro and then we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm like, what is it this time? Not Julie.
It's fine. It's fine. It's early. We're still sleepy, still drinking coffee. Julie and I are the same. We're like, okay, open eyes and speak.
Yes, exactly. Perfect.
Well, awesome. Welcome. I'm excited to have you today. It's always fun to like change energies and have different people on. I tried to grab a couple of girlfriends, but they were busy. So
yeah. We'll give them more of a heads up next time. And
I'm like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow at 9 a.m.?
Yeah. I'm like, oh, it's
You're
9
like,
p.m. You have 12 hours to prepare.
yeah, right?
Yeah. Perfect. Well, I've got the slides up.
Awesome. Today we're gonna go over Libra. Are you gonna do like the Julie roll and do all the fun facts and I'll do my thing? Okay, perfect.
Sure. I'm like, I can read some slides.
Yeah, I got
Absolutely. This. So, some Libra facts are that Libras are between September 23rd to October 22nd is Libra season. Libra is active, artistic, easygoing, peaceable, prizes beauty and harmony, is diplomatic, polished, and very socially inclined. They also, their duality is masculine. Their triplicity or their element is air, and their quadruplicity is cardinal. Libra's ruling planet is Venus. So Venus is the goddess of beauty and love. In astrology, Venus rules pleasure, social pursuits, art, and adornment. Its influence also includes toward self-indulgence and the love of luxury. I just add a little bit. I was listening to information before we started because I was like, oh no, I need to like get up to date. But they said that think of Venus like as beauty, but not necessarily as like just physical beauty, like Aphrodite, but also as like architectural beauty because it's very like kind of structured. And anyway, I thought that was a fun take that I hadn't heard
Fun
before. So
fact. Yeah,
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, and here's a fun fact. It takes Venus about 243 Earth days to spin around just once. That's a long day. So Libra's statement is I balance. The symbol is the scales, which signify balance, equilibrium, order, and justice. Their glyph, the pictograph presents the scales, which is the perfect equilibrium. This was the ancient Egyptian symbol for the setting sun, which was regarded as the doorway between two worlds. In symbolic terms, the glyph is a crescent moon connected to straight lines, to two straight lines. Whatever. Resting above a third line. This represents emotion bounded on either side by reason, and the link below symbolizes partnership. They also have the birthstone of the opal, which it brings financial success, frees its wearer from jealousy and greed, and imparts clear insight. All right. So the metal for Libra is copper. And then they also have special colors of blue and lavender, the color of romance, harmony, and refinement. Their lucky day is Fridays, and their lucky numbers are 6 and 9. Perfect. And then their flowers are rose, cosmos, and hydrangeas. Trees are almond, cypress, and ash. Cities are Vienna, Copenhagen, Charleston, and Lisbon. And then the countries are Burma, China, Tibet, Argentina, and Japan. Great. That's
all the planets.
All the little facts. And then you do the planets, right, Elle?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
You're like, I don't have to read through all these, right? No.
I'm like, I can keep reading.
No. I'll go through these. But that was awesome. That was great. And the fun facts are always really cool because I don't necessarily research that aspect of it. I don't look at the cities. I don't look at I knew Friday was like my day, but it's just really fun. I don't know. The fun facts are just a lot of fun facts.
Yeah.
But myself being a Libra, I feel like I can throw a little shade today, these are some things. I did reach out to people that know me best, and I'm like, how would you describe me? And it is all those things. It's sweet, it's kind, charming, my daughter, petty as fuck, but that's fine. I'm evolving out of that.
Yeah.
So, a Libra sun. So normally I struggle with like the masculine energy of a sign that I've gone through so far. It's been like Leo masculine or Cancer masculine. I struggle with those. And Libra's a little different. I struggle a little bit with the feminine energy of a Libra. They're very unevolved when they are very shallow, which is kind of a trait of a Libra anyways. I mean, I was there once. I was in my 20s. I was shallow. I was vain. I cared about myself, my appearance. I wanted my house to look a certain way, my kids to look a certain way. But there was not a lot of depth to me. There wasn't a lot of, I was just kind of floating through life. I mean, I get free spirited a lot. We're kind of like easily persuade in different directions. And so those are kind of unevolved traits. We don't really know. I feel like a lot of, and maybe masculine energy too with this statement, but a lot of times it takes a while for a Libra energy to understand themselves because we're so open-minded. We're so go with the flow. We're so like, oh, I see your point of view and I see your point of view. But wait, what's my point of view? Because I see all these points of view. So it's so hard to kind of grasp like who you are because you have so much understanding of so many things. And so I think that once you evolve and you really learn who you are and the depth of like what matters to you and what truly is important, then you start to evolve and grow and structure yourself differently. And I have earth, a lot of earth in my chart. I have a little bit of fire. I have 0 water in my chart. My Scorpio or my Pluto's in Scorpio, but that's just because of the time I was born. But so there's just a lot to a Libra that can be really good. We can be compassionate. We can be very sweet, very kind, diplomatic. We make great attorneys. You know, we see the sides and we find ways to manipulate the storyline. I mean, that's just kind of the beauty of being a Libra. So, Libra Sun, beauty. It's a very beautiful, we like to look a certain way. We like to, I was explaining earlier, I used to be very judgmental back in my day. I would look at people and be like, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? And I found it always comes and bites me in the ass because I'm like, whoa, here I am doing that same thing I judged 5 years ago. Like it is so interesting how, like, you know, you can be so shallow and see things at like face value and not go into like, oh, maybe this person did this or maybe that. And I do feel like the universe is always showing me like, oh, okay, you wanna judge for that? Let's do some things. So I don't know where I was going with that part of it, but anyways, so
Right.
Libra Sun, very beautiful. We love beauty. We try to, my aesthetic is not so much like clean cut and like proper. It's more like grungy, just woke up. But it took a long time to get really messy hair. It took me a while to fix this to make it look like I didn't brush it. It does. It just takes a minute. I like to look like I didn't try, but I probably tried more than most. But I don't say that. I'm like, oh yeah, I just woke up and I look crazy. It's fine. Very Libra of me. A Libra moon. So this placement is kind of, my husband has a Libra moon. He's very sweet. He's very kind. He also cannot make a decision to save his life. He's like, oh, what do you think? Oh, we could do this. And then I'm a Libra sun. So together, it's a whole like, oh, we can do this. Well, this would be cute. Or what do you think about this? Oh, I don't care. There's a lot of that going on. So Libra moons probably need to work on making decisions. They are sensitive. They're not emotional, but they're sensitive. You can hurt their feelings very easily just by saying or looking at them or reacting a certain way. I learned very early how I reacted because he's a Gemini sun. So I'm like, oh, I can act crazy. He'll be fine. Like, you know, and so I had a little episode and he was so withdrawn and so like, oh my gosh, like I reacted and I was kind of loud. Like he's sensitive. Like he didn't like that. His feelings were kind of hurt. He really withdrew in. That was kind of that Gemini Libra mix there. But I learned very early, like if I'm upset about something, I need to just like sit down and talk about it in a very practical, logical way because he understands that better than reacting in a loud, abrasive kind of way. My Sagittarius sometimes shines real bright. That's the strongest planet in my chart, Sagittarius. So it's like, ah, and then I'm like, okay, bring it down a few notches. So Libra moons, sensitive little honeys. Be cautious if you have one in your life. Don't yell at them. They're sensitive. And try to help them make decisions. You know, it's hard for them. It's a struggle. I'm a Libra sun and I struggle with making decisions. Libra Mercury. These people communicate. I feel like my southern drawl just came out there a little bit. It did, right? These people speak not in a southern drawl. No. Eloquently. They're very refined. I have a Libra Mercury, and I wouldn't say that my speaking is refined, but if you knew where I came from and how I was raised and the environment that I grew up in, you would be like, wow, you really do speak more, I would say, eloquent or refined in that sense. Like maybe not to some people that grew up in certain areas. Utah probably would never understand. But Oklahoma, very, very hood in the city and very country in the country. So it's like there was a mix. I should definitely have a weird accent for sure. But I've worked really hard on speaking and my pronunciations. And so I'm still illiterate, but I don't think you could really tell that just by the way that I speak because I have that Libra like flowy, graceful thing that I really work to my advantage. Unless I've been drinking and then it's a hot mess. But Libra Mercury's were very, I would say, diplomatic speaking. We see all sides. We really try to, whereas the Sagittarius Mercury would be like, you suck. A lot of other planets, it would be very, Libra's more coddling. We're like, okay, well, actually, and we take 30 minutes to really give someone an insult. Like, I think maybe probably next time you could say it in this way and it would sound better. Maybe let's try it together. You know, we're just very helpful, very kind. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So one of the things that I got from the people that I asked, I'm like, I'm a Libra. Like, what 5 words that describe me? Kindness was always in there. I'm always kind. I speak kindly. I try to be kind. Positive was a big one. Everyone was like positive. I think that might be some of my Sag rising too, but I definitely know that I try to speak to people in a way that makes them feel good. I want people to feel good about themselves. That's kind of a goal of mine when I talk to people. It's just I want them to be happy and feel good about what I have to say. So that's a Libra Mercury. Libra Venus. These people have a really hard time picking, well, they don't have a hard time picking a partner. They have a hard time sticking with the partner they pick because there's just so, they, like I said, they see so many different sides of things that they're like, oh, well, this person's really great. And then they're like, oh, well, that person was great, but this person looks really great now. And so it's like, there's, unless they're really evolved, there's probably some Libras out there that are like, I've been with one person my entire life. This is bullshit. But no. Libra Venus, unevolved, very hard, very easily swayed, very hard to draw boundaries. I was saying earlier, one of the things I struggle with Libra feminine energy, maybe masculine too, they tend to be homewreckers. And I remember reading this at an early age, and I was like, absolutely not. I have a Taurus moon. I'm very in my, like, how I feel, my moral compass. I'm like, that is not okay. I absolutely hate it. I know a lot of Libras that every time they saw a relationship, a male in a relationship, and they were like, oh, he's such a good husband, they would go after that. And I can't. I just can't. It drives me nuts. And it's something that I have to obviously work through, because if it's triggering me, it's like, okay, I got to work on that. But they a lot of times tend to just see things that look good and shiny, and then they want it, and they don't have a good boundary of like, oh, this person's already taken. Like, I shouldn't cross this line, but I'm going to, because they deserve better. You know, they kind of manipulate it in their heads like, oh, well, she's not good enough for him, or she's this. That is a very Libra mentality, because we don't want to do wrong and we don't want to think wrong. So in order to make the situation beneficial for us, we can change it around the storyline in our head and be like, oh, well, this is fine because this or that, whatever, you know. I have a Libra girl, I wouldn't call her a friend. She ended up, and I don't know all of her planets. I should research. I could probably get to the bottom of what her planets are. She literally, like, her best friend went after her boyfriend when we were younger. If we were younger, hopefully she's evolved and changed. And I just remember thinking, like, how could you do that? And in her mind, he was better for her. I mean, he ended up beating the shit out of her. Not that that was good, but I mean, she really took one for the team with that, because the girl that I'm friends with, I was like, oh, well, we really dodged a bullet there. But it was like, how do you do that to your best friend? I've seen that a few times with Libras. So if you're a Libra and you find yourself in a situation, especially Libra Venus, where you're constantly going after men that are married, maybe try to not. Think of it as yourself. If it were your husband, would you want someone to go after? Maybe that's the best way to draw that line or create a real solid boundary there. Maybe. Libra Mars. So Mars is all about taking action. And Libra is not, it's a cardinal sign. So they do get shit done. They do start things. They love to start projects. But it's not a very fast moving energy. Venus doesn't move very fast. Venus is kind of slow, takes its time. It's beauty queen, you know. So these Libra Mars, they're probably not very fast to take action. You're like, hey, we got to go. We got to do this. We've got all this stuff. They're probably like, can't we hire someone to do this? Or maybe there's somebody that wants to help us because we're pretty. Like, this would be a good example of a Libra Mars. They feel that they can rule the world or change there's like maybe in a bad situation based on their beauty, based on their looks, based on their kindness. It's not just the exterior, it's the inside. Like, oh, I'm a really good person. You should clean my house, or you should fix my car, make my car payment. These are the kind of thoughts and mentalities of Libra Mars. They like to get things done through other people in a manipulative way that kind of because of their beauty, their inside, outside, whatever that looks like, they can be very much like that. Libra rising, these are beautiful people. These are beautiful people inside and out, very kind-hearted. They tend to just see the world as beautiful. They see the world as a beautiful place. When they're walking down the street, they notice the flowers. They notice the aesthetically pleasing decor of a house, or, you know, they just notice beauty. They are beauty. They shine beauty. It is a really good placement to have, honestly. A lot of time their physical features are very beautiful. If you look up Libra risings, I don't know any off the top of my head, but they typically are very beautiful people, very elegant, very refined. They love art. They love culture. I mean, Libra rising people are truly, I would say, inspiring. This is a really good placement to have. So those are the planets for Libra. Try to keep my shade down, a little hater shade, because, you know, it's not very nice. Do you have any questions or anything you want to add to that? I know you don't have a lot of Libras in your life, but like, maybe
I have questions.
Yeah.
So both of my sons have strong Libra placements. One is Libra moon, and the other is a Libra rising. So
Okay.
yeah.
Is your Libra moon very sensitive?
I think so. Like he
Well, he's
but
little.
he has a lot of water placements. He's 5, and so he, like, has all of this, like, water placements, and then, like, his moon's in Libra, and so I was like,
You're like,
"Well,
he's gonna
maybe
be
it'll."
emotional and sensitive.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
like, "Hopefully it'll help give him some rationality to his feelings,"
Yes.
but,
Well,
yeah.
you know, Libra is the only sign that doesn't represent something with a beating heart. We're the scales.
Mhm.
Everything in the zodiac is represented by something with a heartbeat. And so that gives us this very logical. So having a Libra moon, I mean, there's a very like taking emotion, taking like human tendencies out of it and gives it like, let's look at this logically. Might be 5 different like outcomes, you know,
Right.
just can't decide which one, but it is, I promise you, all 5 of them are very
Yeah.
logical. So,
Perfect.
and
Yeah.
then Libra rising, does he like to be stylish and dress a certain way, or is that's
He's
the little
1.
one? Okay. Just
So
watch
he's still. Yeah.
watch for that. Start.
I Yeah, I'm watching for that. He's also a Leo moon, so he's gonna be
Look at me, I'm
a star.
beautiful. Yes, and I want to be the center of attention.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
I love that. I mean, that's a good combo. And what is his sun?
His sun is Taurus,
Oh,
so
okay.
yeah,
Taurus, Libra, double, Venus, ruled. That's me, because I'm
yeah.
like Libra sun, Taurus moon.
Oh, yeah.
It gives you an extra like, oh, this has to be like look a certain way. And it can be messy, but it's like messy in a certain way. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just double ruled, but Venus in the top 2 or even in your top 3, it's like it gives you kind of just a different eye for things.
Yeah.
So, and then a Leo moon.
Yeah. He's always rearranging stuff, but
Oh,
taking
he's
things
like,
off
this
the
is not
shelf.
feng shui here. We need this over here. He already
Yeah.
knows. He's one.
Yeah.
Like, he can't read, but he knows the energy of the room for sure.
Exactly.
Love that.
Exactly.
Love it. I love it.
Oh,
Okay. Well, yeah, watch for those. Watch for him noticing all the beautiful things, the rising, and then just the sensitive little moon. Let him, you know, the water. That's hard. Water and Libra, but it'll be fun. But you know, you're aware that's what counts. Because I have a Pisces sun, Cancer moon daughter, and I'm always like, okay, she has big emotions, and her father and I do not. And we're just like, okay, we're aware. We knew what we were getting into when she was Pisces, and then she came out with a Cancer moon. Like, we know there's going to be big emotion. So that's good. That's an advantage that you have. I feel like I do it with all my kids. Like, I see their little things, and I just take it in and try to be the best parent that I can be according to their chart.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like the more I'm learning about astrology as a parent, it's also like I'm not gonna make notes of like all these horrible like things that might go wrong. It's like I'm gonna find the ways that I can help them embrace that aspect of themselves as they
Absolutely.
grow. So it's like you have big emotions, but like here's how you can really process them yourself, you know, instead of being like suppress them. You're gonna have big emotions, just don't. Like it's good to
Yeah,
teach them
stop
to
crying.
embrace
Stop
it.
being emotional.
Yeah,
No, yeah, we're past that. We're past that. Let the kids
right? Yeah.
cry.
So
You
it's
feel
cool to
it.
like know kind of
Mhm.
hope maybe the archetype that they're gonna be gravitating towards
Yeah,
and trying to help them embody it instead of like trying
controlling
to
it.
negate it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. No, I always talk about my Gemini daughter. She's a Gemini sun, Scorpio moon, and she's out there. She is
yeah.
out there. And I, for the longest time, I'm like, oh, I don't understand. But I'm like, Scorpio's dark and heavy, and Gemini's a little eccentric and weird. So like together, Tim Burton all day long. And so I've had to learn to embrace that and not be like, because me, I'm like, oh, that's really dark. Like, but it's okay. Like, you know, people make careers out of making scary movies. That's like top. That's like where she needs to go on her career path is like
Perfect.
making scary movies, graphics, and all that. Because it's not for me. But that doesn't mean it's wrong. I just don't like it.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yeah, so you learn as a parent like how to figure out and navigate through your child's birth chart, and just watch out for things that could be hazardous for them. So
Yes.
it's fun. Okay,
Yay.
I'm gonna
Oh,
move my little thing over for the slides in the houses. Libra in the houses. So this is Libra sun through the houses, not the moon. One day we will go through all the things, but that would take way longer than an hour. So Libra in the first house. I'm so sorry that this is like I tried to throw confident in there because I was like, yeah, confident, But when you have Libra who loves themselves in the first house of self, also the opposite of Libra is Aries that rules the first house. There is so much explosions going on here. Like this is like recipe for superficial, ego driven, but confident people. And anytime I see a Libra sun in the first house, it's really a lot about themselves. It's all about me. Everything is about me. Oh my gosh. Like if you ever talk to a Libra, they already have this like, oh, me thing. No, you're good. And then when you have Libra in the first house, it's like you don't get a word in. They just talk about themselves. And at the end of the conversations, they don't even like have this thought of like, wow, I didn't really get any information from them. I didn't learn anything. I talked the whole time. No, they don't either. Like, oh, okay, and on to the next. Who can I share all these stories with someone else? Because they love to talk about themselves. They love themselves. Very me. And that's okay. That's great, for people who just like to listen. I'm sure they have a lot of friends like that. Probably a lot of, I don't even know, Gemini friends maybe, but Geminis like to talk too. I don't know. Those people really have to work and evolve through that. So, huh? Oh, sorry. No, you're good. Sorry. We're doing mom things over here. So yeah, Libra in the first house, try to evolve past yourself and see that there are other people in the room. These are the people that walk by the mirror and they're like, oh my gosh, every time. They just love themselves, and that's really great to have. Just acknowledge other people and maybe don't be too selfish or ego driven because they're very ego driven. Libra in the second house loves expensive things, loves to shop. Second house is ruled by Taurus. So when you have a Libra sun who's already loves the beauty of things, these are really refined people. These are people with really beautiful houses, beautiful homes, beautiful cars. They really, really like things, and they like really nice things. Like my son is not in the second house. I don't care about things. But it's when I see a Libra sun in the second house, they're typically very much into style. And I mean like the beautiful dresses or the suits for the men. They like to dress nice. They like to look nice, like to have nice things. That's that in a nutshell. And they're good with finances, or not good with finances. These people tend to overspend. So they tend to see things, want things, And it's like this kind of starts at such a young age before they can really get established in like career money making, unless they just are born into a wealthy family. That could change things a little bit. But typically these people get themselves into trouble because they overspend and can't stop. It's a problem. Libra in the third house, very funny. This is a third house is Gemini. Libra and Gemini, they vibe. They really just kind of, you know, complement each other. And so when you have Libra in the third house, these people they just have this knack for like being authentically silly and childlike. They love to explore. They're very curious. Air signs in general, we are always wanting to learn. We're always curious about things. We always want to go on an adventure. And so when Libra's in the third house, it like exalts that. It's like, oh, okay, we're doing like adventures all year, traveling gypsies. That's fine. These people may not have homes, but that's okay. They're fine with it. They just want to travel and live their best life, and that's okay. Libra in the fourth house, clean home, very similar to Virgo. Kind of gives Virgo vibes if you ask me. Things have to be placed nice and strategically, like placed, and they want, housekeepers or people always cleaning, and they want their children to look nice and fashionable, and they're good parents. I'm not saying that this isn't a good placement for a parent. This would make a really good mom, the little Betty Crocker mom with the, making dinner and having everything. There's this aesthetic look of the home that they want to achieve, and it's really important to them. And that's okay. These women may not work. These men may not work. These are people that like to stay home, like to do the fun children things or home things, just very homey. And it's a really good placement. It's a good placement to have because you may not want to work. Libras are kind of lazy. Not me, but some. I've seen some. So we will move to the fifth house. All right. These are, so when I say Libra in the fifth house, this is kind of one of my favorite placements because I know that it's going to be a good time. This is like a fun, artistic, like Libra, they already see beauty in things. They already are ruled by Venus. So they have this whole like eye for beauty and art. And this it's like makes it this like strong sense of like free spirited adventure. I know I said that in the third house, a little different here. These people are traveling, making art, making things beautiful. It's not so much about learning and like grasping all of the knowledge from adventures. It's more about making them beautiful, putting their name on it. I see a lot of people in the fifth house with their sun. They are artists, but they also they love to share their art. Libra's a share. We like to make people happy. We like to do things for people, and like not like hard work things. Like we don't want to help you move. We don't. But we will like paint your house or make an art piece for you or create some little jewelry for you or whatever, make something beautiful for you. We don't love the heavy hard stuff. We like the fun, the beauty stuff. So Libra in the fifth house, these are like true free-spirited people, adventurers, and very artistic. And so I bet they can draw really good because it's just that little placement. Libra in the sixth house, these are more down to earth Libras. Anytime an air sign is in a house of earth, which the sixth house represents Virgo, it does bring them down a few notches. And so they're not so, they're more down to earth, very kind, sweet, which Libras are anyways. All Libras are kind and sweet. It's very rare that you meet a Libra who's not kind and sweet because that's just their makeup. They're very kind, good intentions. I almost said good-hearted, but I think their intentions are good most of the time. These people are very organized, more, this would be, I know I always say the sixth house is somebody that should go into the medical field because the sixth house is about doing for others and it's also health. And so it kind of goes hand in hand. Libra in the sixth house is the same. It would be a really good placement for someone to go in and, but this is the person that deals with the people. I don't know anything about like the titles of, people that work in the hospital. But these are the people that, can go in and comfort you and like, oh, how are you doing? The nurses, I guess. I don't know. I'm so,
yeah.
but you might know, like the RNs, not the RNs, because the RNs are like, they do the bigger things. The people that are just doing the smaller things, that are just there to comfort you or check on you, make sure your stuff is filled, those people, that makes a great placement.
Cool.
Do you want to add something to that?
You're good. I was just going to suggest maybe the CNAs, but I don't know a lot of.
Yeah. I'm like, there's another title that I feel like, but yes, CNAs, they're the ones that come in and like, oh, how are you? And they're just very kind, and they're always nice, and they're in and out more. You don't see the RNs like, that's what I'm saying. There's people that are in and they're dealing with the people more. That would be a really good placement for somebody in the Libra in the 6th house.
Cool. Very cool.
Libra in the 7th house. So this is like its home. This 7th house is ruled by Libra. This is relationships, partnerships, all those things. These people are very fun. They can be very flirty. Libras, a lot of Libras can be flirty. I don't think of myself as flirty, but I have been told that in my day that I can be flirty. I think it's just more, it's like friendly and kind and fun and vibrant. Again, possibly a home wrecker. This is a hard place for them to draw lines. They're like, oh, but the truth is they want it so bad. They want like a marriage and a partnership and something so bad that they blur the lines of what is right and wrong and kind of just go for whichever they think is going to be the best. And a lot of times they don't realize if somebody's willing to step out on their wife or husband, it's probably going to happen to you. It probably will backfire. There are certain circumstances where that's not the case, but typically this isn't the Libra looks at it from a very shallow point of view. There's no like real like, oh, we're in love and this was meant to be and this is how it has to be. There's not that. It's more like, oh, that looks fun. Maybe I'll dabble over here. So try if this is your placement. And if this is your placement, you're like, nope, this is not how I am. Maybe you have stronger placements in other areas. Again, I'm a Taurus moon, so I am like, nope. But my sun is also not in the 7th house. So you're fun, you're flirty, maybe too flirty. Just watch for those little blurred lines that you kind of blur. 8th house, poet. I was like, poor. My bad. These people, again, beauty. So 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. And anytime you have a light sun like Gemini or Libra in a house that's a little heavier, it gives them very kind of different vibe. It does anyways in any of the houses. But this one is especially noticeable because Libra is a little more, there's a little more depth to this Libra. This Libra maybe feels a little more or considers things a little more. They're poets because they can speak and think they flow, and then the 8th house is, puts it all together and kind of gives them this little deeper just personality or vibe. I'm not exactly sure how to say it, but it does give them depth. More quiet. Libras can be very talky. We're like, I'm talking the whole time we do the live. So we talk. We're talkers. This person, it withdraws a little bit. They're more of a listener. They're more of like observing. That's what Scorpio does. It gives it like a little more Scorpio vibe, like takes in things, doesn't speak too fast, wants to understand the situation before they chime in on it, where a typical Libra in another house would be like, oh yeah, da 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 da, and it's not even relatable. Happens to me all the time. I'm like, wait, what are we talking about? Yeah, awful. These people are very witchy, very occult, fascination with that. These are kind of witches because Libra is free and understanding and searches for knowledge, and the 8th house is darker. It's death, it's transformation. So this is definitely a house good for a Libra. It brings them down, I would say, to earth a little bit more and gives them a little more depth. So Libra in the 9th house. Skipping all these houses. Let's go to the next thing.
Let's just move on.
Yeah, perfect. So Libra in the 9th house. The 9th house, it's ruled by Sagittarius. Very curious. They like to study. Libra is all about fairness and being diplomatic. And so when I see the Libra sun in the 9th house, I'm like, what is your, I want to know what their career path is. I want to know what they're doing, because 9 times out of 10, it has something to do with law, whether they're an attorney, whether they're a paralegal, whether they are in some service of, you know, doing the right thing and making law their most important thing in their life. They want to understand things. They want things to be fair. They hate anything that's unjust. And so these are people out there fighting for their, you know, their law. I think Kim Kardashian, she's a Libra. No surprise there. She loves herself. But her son is in the ninth house. And she is literally going through law school. And, like, she doesn't have to do that. She doesn't, I mean, she's got millions. She doesn't need the money of an attorney. So, you know, her student loans will be paid off probably before she even starts. But she does have this, drive to reach out. I've seen cases where she's gone. There was one in Oklahoma. This is how I know this, because I was like, oh, Kim Kardashian's in Oklahoma. Why? There was a case where someone was being tried, I think for murder, and it was, they didn't have enough evidence or something, and she was like, no. And so, like, that really fueled her, and she's done a number of cases like this. I just know about the Oklahoma one because I'm from there. But it's like she has this drive to make things right, and that's very Libra. I mean, that is the most Libra thing in the ninth house that I can say I've ever seen. Like, you already have millions, but let's be an attorney to, like, help people. That's very Libra. Very, yeah. Very, very good hearted. Wants, you know, they protest. These are like, with the whole let's see, what was it, Black Lives Matter, and just the community of, I always mess it up, LGBTQ. I don't know, there's added one and then they took one out, I'm not sure. Yeah. But these are the people that are really, like, front and center in those rallies, because we need those people to, like, fight. And these Libras are more fighters. They're more about, like, what's right. It needs to be fair. People need to be treated equally. People have their rights. Why are we taking them? So it's these are the people that are on the front lines of those sort of organizations that are really fighting, because typically Libras aren't fighters. We're more, like, passive, but in this placement, it gives you a little bit more fire, a little more want to make things right. So Libra in the 10th house, this is where my sun is, so I speak heavily on this. So when I asked all my friends, and I was like, say something about me, success and driven was, like, top of most people. They're like, you're very driven. And so having a Libra in the 10th house has really given me an advantage financially, successfully, in, like, business, because I'm so driven by success. I want to be successful. I say this, I'm kind of evolving through this, because my background is in commercial real estate. I worked hard for that, management, property management, like, years, like 15 years of doing all of these things to, like, climb to the top. And I've climbed to many, like, tops of corporate ladders. And one day I kind of, like, I feel like not necessarily regressed, but I started putting more faith in myself than, like, the businesses. And I quit my career at 15 years and I went to hair school. That a lot of people can't say that they do it. Like, you quit your job that you created your whole life to do hair, which, I mean, there's, like, it's just different. I went from, like, steady paycheck to, if I don't have clients, I don't have money. And so luckily my husband works. So it's been an easy transition, but it is something that I kind of, like, okay, I don't need to be the top of this company, and, you know, the stress of it, I just kind of gave up on that. So that I'm saying the 10th house is all about career and success, but it just kind of shows how you evolve and how you can, like, change out of the, you know, what qualities matter to you, or what am I trying to say? What matters to you, where your sun placement is. And so, but success, career, I've worked hard my entire life. I've provided for my family. I was a single mom for years, and I've always, you know, we've always had, like, nice places to live, Libra. You know, we've always had things. So I've made sure to be a provider, because the 10th house Capricorn is kind of like the provider. We're good at thinking outside of the box. You know, we have that Libra, we're Libra, but we have a little Cap energy there. So the Capricorn energy brings, like, a different type of approach because we are so different. Libra and Capricorn are nothing alike. But when you have a Libra sun in the 10th house, you think more business-like, but still in like a very free way of thinking. So it's a good placement to have. I'm always grateful for my Libra in the 10th house. It's got me where I am. It's got me very far. And I feel like I'm really grateful for that. And it makes me a little more practical. It's, I'm kind of, I've said this before, I'm like fun and light, but I also kind of sometimes seem like I have a stick up my ass. Like I'm like, I don't think we should do this. Like, and it's like, oh, you're being a buzzkill. I'm like, I know, but it's really annoying. But I have that. There's that thing there, and it comes out every once in a while, especially in business settings. I've had to learn to not be so square. Like I had a boss, Pisces, love her. She would like let dogs in the office, and at first I was like, no, absolutely not. We do not need to have animals. By the end of the term of me living there, I was bringing my cat to the office, but it takes me a minute. I'm like, no, that's not how we're supposed to do things. That's not how business is supposed to be ran. Like there's that Capricorn energy because that is not Libra energy. I also have a lot of Virgo on my chart too, so I've had to work through some things. But you know what I mean? Like it's just kind of that energy. It's more, I like more of a structure, like more of a like corporate setting. And I say that I used to like that. I've had to evolve out of that to where I'm like, maybe I will bring my cat to the office. Maybe he'll like it. He hated it, but we tried it. That's Libra in the 10th house. Libra in the 11th house. These are the lives of the party. These people like to have fun. They're outgoing. They're very free-spirited. They're very into their friends. Like you probably see them with friends more than you see them with anything else. They're never really alone. This can be kind of a recipe to be a little bitchy because Aquarius has like a no bullshit kind of vibe, and Libra in this placement kind of just gives it a little more edge, I would say. But yeah, really fun. It's a great placement. It's kind of like Libra in the 3rd house. It thrives there. It's really energetic there. It's a lot of activity, a lot of excitement. And so Libra in the 11th house is definitely a good one to have. Libra in the 12th house. These people are open-minded, but it's kind of like Libras can be spacey in general. Like, like they're kind of thinking of a lot. When you put Libra in the 12th house of like the daydreaming, it's kind of very space cadet-y. Like, what? I'm sorry. Like, it's very fun, though. Very fun, very free. These people are very spiritual, very open to a lot of things. Libra in itself is pretty open and understanding. And so when you have it in Pisces, it's very sweet and understanding. They really mesh well. They're very different, but they do complement each other. So it's a good vibe. It's a good time for sure. Because Pisces and Libra are just, it's two of my favorite. A lot of my best friends are Pisces, and they're just so sweet and they're so kind, and Libra's sweet and kind. And when you put it in the same house, it just kind of makes them even more sweet and kind. It's like, what is the girl's name? I know everyone's Harry Potter, the little blonde girl that's always
Luna.
like Luna. Yes,
Yeah.
she's either a Pisces in the 12th house or a Libra in the 12th house, because she's so like sweet and kind. That's what I'm trying to explain. That is the exact like person I think of when I see Libra in the 12th house. Like, oh, like, just super sweet, super kind, knows some things. That Pisces, that 12th house, there's intuition there, things that they pick up on that most people don't. So, it's a good placement. And that's all I got for the houses and the planets for Libra.
Awesome. Well, I can read some more slides.
Back to the slides. I keep turning with my screen.
So, on the Libra is the lover, the artist, and the peacemaker, which while you were talking and you mentioned that Libras are a sharer, I was like, I feel like that describes both of my boys pretty well. Like
Yes.
they're so much more willing to share than like I'll see other kids their age doing. And I'm
Yeah.
always like, well, I don't want to attribute this to me because I'm gonna jinx myself. But there's something about them that they're just willing to
You
do
can have
this.
my toys. Yeah, we
Yeah.
are. We are very kind and
So,
very like we want to make people happy.
yeah, makes sense. And so, the high road is harmony, diplomat, justice, and a communicator. And the low road is flirtatious, indecisive, pleaser, and a gossip. And so,
I
you
didn't even
know,
touch on gossiping, but yes, Libras love to gossip.
perfect. Yeah. And that's what I feel like you did a good job of kind of talking about, that unevolved portion and then kind of like our evolved. I know we were talking a little bit before, and I told you I was listening to a podcast and they were kind of talking about how um you might start out like superficial, like, oh, judgmental, but really focused on that superficial aspect. But that same, like, not obsession, but drive can like evolve into feng shui. Feng shui is a great
Mhm.
thing. It helps like really bring in not only the
Turning
superficial,
it
but
into a
like,
positive.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, the energy. And so, yeah. And I feel like you talked a little bit about your story. Um, and you mentioned like how you've kind of moved into, and now you do a lot of like beauty stuff. I don't
Mm.
think that that's like when you're doing it for someone else, like you're trying to help uplift them and make them feel better. And so I
Yeah.
think that's a cool way to also see that evolved Libra energy is like
Mhm.
now you're, spreading the beauty that you have. So I love
Yeah, no, it's definitely what has happened. I've transitioned into like wanting to look this certain role and be successful to like, okay, maybe I don't make as much money, but it's more rewarding for me at the end of the day, like making people feel good and making them feel good about themselves. And I mean, it is very true to my sign and what I had a boss. She was the CEO of the first company I ever started working for. I worked there for 10 years and I was 20 years old when I started there, or I was like 19. And she was like, "Why don't you go do hair or something?" And I'm like, "That's insulting. I'm really good at what I do." She's like, "But you're so eccentric." She's like, "You're so like my hair is always a different color, tattoos, piercings." She's like, "You just don't fit in the business world." And I'm like, "I do fit in the business world. I am here and I'm doing just as good of a job as anyone else, you know." And so then that really fueled my fire to stay there and get more tattoos and be more, because I mean this was like a long time ago. Like now I think it's more acceptable, but at that time it was not. So my Sagittarius rising with my Libra, I'm also like my chart ruler is Aquarius. So a lot of shit going on there that I was like rebelling. And I was like, no, I'm going to be in the business world. I'm going to look weird and you guys are going to accept it because I'm good at what I do.
perfect. Exactly.
But
So,
yeah.
yeah. I here's some more information that I didn't know about Libra before today. The polarity of Libra is Aries. And then life lessons for Libra is to put attention on self. Relationship is necessary. And friendship is as important as romance. And then the esoteric uh, end of duality, male and female in tandem, and personality and soul are balanced. So I really like, these are again just kind of talking about like finding the balance in life and between all of the things. So that's, and it's so crazy that the polarity is Aries. Do you have any insight on like how
Oh,
Aries and Libra interact or like how that affects?
100%. My sister is an Aries.
Okay.
And she and my best friend is an Aries. My friend is here. She watches Salem while I have a lot of Aries in my life that I like, really good friends, but we are very different. And my sister, I would say, is probably the most polar opposite of me. She's an Aries with a Pisces moon. I'm a Libra with a Taurus moon. And so we have sometimes, like, we have so much love for each other. Sometimes we're having a conversation and I don't even know if we're having the same conversation. I'm like, wait, what did I say? Or what did you say? Like, it's like, what happened? And that happens a lot. And so, but we're there for each other. Like, we go back and forth, and it's good because there's sometimes where I'm like, okay, I want you to hear this situation. And she'll do the same with me. She'll be like, okay, did I say something wrong? Or did I say something? And I'm like, no, I think you said it good. Well, maybe this is where they got confused, and she'll do the same for me. So she's a really good person to like go to when I don't understand like how someone's reacting to me. Same for her, because we think so differently that we're like, okay, maybe my sister will see it differently. So yeah, I think we have a really good like or we do have a really good relationship. We just sometimes when we communicate, it's like very different. We think so differently. She's like amazing, like everything that I feel like I've tried to evolve to in my life as far as like being better, I've always kind of like looked up to her and like, okay, she's really good and she's really done this, because there's a lot of depth to her that I'm like, okay, I want to be more like this. I want to be more there for people. I want to be more. And so I've really like looked up to her because she's my, older sister. So
Cool.
definitely challenging at times though.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I think is so unique about the polarities, is that it's not that they're opposites, but that they help balance each other,
Mhm.
because they
Yeah.
are so different. And it's, not necessarily an opposites attract kind of thing, but they do help like fill in the gaps that you might have.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No,
that's
it's one of my favorite signs. It's sometimes challenging, but it's like at the end of the day, it's just because I know we're just so different, and I can appreciate that. And her the same. And even my other Aries friends, like my girlfriend that's here, she's an Aries Scorpio. So our suns and our moons are polarities.
cool.
So like we're very different, but we just vibe. Like we understand each other, and sometimes we don't, but we're like, okay, that's fine. That's not my thing to understand. So
Yeah.
it's polarities are always fun because they do what you're missing, they have. And what they're missing, you have. And so it's kind of like, okay, you can kind of learn from that person and grow.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
love that. And today we don't have a video from Kat, but the body parts that are ruled by Libra are your lower back, buttocks, and your kidneys. So
you're
take
going to
care
be
of
a
that.
Libra and you're going to be a drinker. Drink lots of water because it's no good for the kidneys.
Yeah. Great. Perfect. And that's everything
Oh my
in our
God, Lisa.
slides here that we had today. If there's anyone out there with any questions, usually I feel like at the end I'm always typing in a bunch of questions. And I made some notes here, so I'll ask a couple, but if anyone else has any questions they're interested
Let us
in pulling
know.
up, yeah, shoot them over to us. So I wrote down so flirty came up several times in the whole spiel. I feel like there are several signs that kind of get that like flirty
Reputation.
moniker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like I know Gemini's one of them, but I feel like it's kind of the air signs. But I almost feel like personally, it makes me think of like kind of that light, airy fun. And so I
Mm-hmm.
feel like people who just have a fun personality and like want to be playful kind of in their speech get
Mm-hmm.
misinterpreted a lot as flirty, because that's generally how we flirt. And so when someone's talking that way, I think it can be
It's
taken.
total. Yeah, it's completely, and it's crazy to me personally because I am a Libra with a Sagittarius rising. So I
Mhm.
sometimes like poke at people, and I'm fun, and I'm just trying to be silly or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, you're being really flirty," and I'm like, but in my head, there was nothing like sexual,
Right.
nothing. What I'm like, how is that being flirty? To me, flirty is like I don't know, like just saying inappropriate things, I guess, or maybe I don't really know how I flirt. I don't think I'm a flirty person at all, but I have been told that I come off as flirty, and I don't see it. But I think you're right.
Mhm.
It's just we're fun. We're trying to engage in conversation, and we're just being silly, and I think that gets taken as being flirty because you're right. Gemini, Libra. I wouldn't say so much Aquarius because they are a little more. They have that wall thing that they do, but like
Yeah, they don't flirt even
Sagittarius.
when they like you.
Yeah, they're like, you're cool. Do you want to like get married or something? I don't
Yeah.
know. No, probably not marriage because that's not really Aquarius's MO. But like, we can hang out forever and just be partners
Yeah.
occasionally.
My
Yeah.
husband, who's an Aquarius, rising, sang Summer Lovin' to me for the first 6 months of our relationship.
What?
Sang the song from Grease, Summer Lovin',
Oh,
for, like, 6 months of our relationship, so
I love that. You're like,
but
that's great.
yeah, I'm like, "Okay, don't get attached."
Your Pisces is like, okay, I can handle this. But
Yeah.
that's really cool that he's a Gemini and then an Aquarius. That's a good. And then a Libra moon.
No, he's
Oh,
got
Capricorn moon. Oh,
Capricorn.
thank God for that. I was like, man, he
Yeah.
must be really flighty. But no, the
No.
Capricorn moon will really bring you down. That's why it's so important, like in your birth chart, you look at all these things and you're like, oh, I'm this and I'm that. But it's like when you learn, and hopefully this teaches everyone, like, oh, okay, that's why I'm a little different, or that's why this doesn't resonate with me because of this. But when you put everything in your chart together, it makes up who you are, but it changes so much. Are you
So
packing?
much.
My Aries is here. My Aries friend is here packing and doing the things for me because I'm a Libra. Like I said earlier, I love when people do things for me because I hate doing the hard work. She's over here, baby's asleep, packing. Sorry, complete. I just had to ask if she was packing my house.
That's
But
great.
it's when your chart flows and or doesn't flow and how it all interacts with each other. That's where it's like really becomes fascinating when you get into astrology. And I know that it's like so much at first, and that's kind of why we're doing all these teachings, is to help you like understand, like we did how to read your birth chart. We'll dive into that a little deeper. We'll do aspects. Once you start seeing how your sun and your moon play together, or your rising with your Venus and the Mars, and then on top of that, the outer planets and how they affect everything, it's kind of mind blowing. And I think that, having it so intermediate and like we're touching on, obviously, you can read these things about Libra on the internet, but we are doing it in a way that throughout this entire program of like teaching, by the end of it, you'll really understand all the things. And then when we start going into heavier things like aspects, you're like, oh, that's what she said about this. And it really like, resonates with this. And these really go together. So it's very basic stuff, but it's also very helpful for when you go to the deeper stuff. Because if you don't start with the foundation of the basics, you're not going to understand why the aspects flow the way they do and what degrees really change a sign and where you're starting with the degree. It's a lot. So
Yeah.
that may have just been really Spanish for some of you, but that's how in depth that astrology goes. Is it everything to your upbringing and how you relate to things and how you handle things versus like, just your sun sign and your moon and your rising.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I love like the language of astrology, right? And how it's all starts interacting and interplaying with each other. And yeah, I think it's just the whole thing
fun.
works for
It's
me.
fun to learn about. And even if you don't
Yeah.
believe it, I know people that are like, I don't necessarily believe this because they're of their religion or whatever, but they are curious about it and they do kind of study it and they dabble a little in it and they're like, okay. And so it doesn't have to be that you read it and believe it and like live your life by it. I'm not asking you to like quit your religion and, go be a witch. I'm just saying,
Right.
like, consider it and look at the facts and how it all pulls together and,
Yeah.
just see what you think, because
Yeah.
I've always found it fascinating and relatable. And I've been studying it, comparing people and their charts to my study and my entire life. And it's always like blown my mind. So.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I like about it is like, so my husband is very skeptical of all of this. But he's also Gemini.
Capricorn.
Yeah, but he's also Gemini, so he can like play both sides of anything. He can devil's advocate any
Oh
situation.
yeah.
And so he'll talk to me about it and he'll like ask all these questions about why I believe it, whatever. And then I heard him the other day defend it to a friend. Like, well, sure, it might just be like an archetypal thing or they just say something specific, but it's weird when something does describe Megan and it turns out to be a thing that she is. So that's weird.
Yeah.
There's some instances and I was like, "Oh, yay."
You
He's
were like
slightly on board.
defending your honor, yes.
Yeah.
And you'll probably notice too, depending on who he's talking to, like sometimes, because my husband's a Gemini as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can tell if it's like a really masculine guy that he's friends with, and he's like, oh yeah, she teaches astrology, and he'll just kind of wait to see where that person, because if that person's like, oh my gosh, and he'll be like, yeah, I don't, and just kind of like brush it off. But if someone's like, oh, that's so cool, I'll be like, yeah, like it's really cool. Like it just depends. I watch him like read the energy before, because some people are, especially men, very like, oh my gosh. Like we had a comment that was like, oh my gosh, astrology and blondes, and I'm like, okay, well, Megan is not blonde, but Julie and I, we are blonde. But you know what I mean? Like there is this kind of like idea about it. And I know that it has become more mainstream and people are more like, oh, what's this? But so that's kind of caused some like eye rolls. But it's cute to see him like fill out the situation. I saw him do it this weekend with his friend. He's like, oh yeah, she teaches astrology. And his friend was like, oh, that's so cool. I don't know a lot about it. And he's like, yeah, like he got excited about it. Whereas if he would have been like, oh my gosh, that's lame, he'd be like, yeah, she just does it. It's her thing.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You're into it. Don't deny it. It's fine.
Right.
He's
You're
like,
being
it's
sold.
yeah. But it's fun. It's a hobby. It's something to do. If people go to church, I study astrology.
Yeah, I love it.
Sunday practice.
Yeah. Well, and I like
oh, go ahead.
I like tarot a lot. And so I always am like, just take everything with a grain of salt. Like if it resonates, that's great. And if it doesn't, like that wasn't for you and that's okay too. Like it doesn't all have to make sense for it to make sense for someone else too. So
yeah. Well, and I had a cool experience this weekend. Just knowing the placements, that I did this girl's birth chart and she was a Cancer and she had a Gemini moon. And I was like, please be careful with your gut, because I know Cancers struggle with the gut. And then a Gemini moon, there's a nervousness. And she was just like, I have stomach problems. And I'm like, yeah, I know. I haven't seen your whole chart yet. I could probably go way into more depth, but just basing those two things, her sun and her moon, and what I know and how it affects the body, she was just like, and I was like, come tune into our live, because we go over things, and we'll get to that. We'll get to where we're like, okay, when you have this and this, you need to watch out for this, like that. We will teach that at some point. And so I'm like, just start listening if you're curious about it, because there's so many people that don't know a lot, and it's like, just come here where I babble about nonsense, but it's like there's rhyme and reason to it, and it does, and so yeah, hopefully everyone gets something out of it and learns a few things, and then one day they can be teaching astrology and it'll be fine.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. Okay, well, we've done it. That's another Astrology and Coffee. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Next week, Scorpio.
Yay! Join us. We're going to be here live again next week. Most likely Julie will be with us. And that's Tuesdays, 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And you can always watch those replays back if you can't join us live. You're also welcome to send us any questions you have. Here are all of our different things. Elle is on Instagram. You can reach out to her if you have questions. You can reach out to Julie, our other teacher, as well. I'm also one of the faces behind the Academy of Logic and Light. So if you email us or contact us on Instagram or Facebook, you can speak to me as well. So if you have any questions or need anything, let us know. And we hope to see you next week on Tuesday and at our next event on the 16th of July. Yay!
Very nice. Well, thanks for joining us today. It was so fun.
Yes, it was great.
And I'll see you guys next week.
Bye.